Anybody notice? Everybody's already started working, which is fine. That's great. What's different? But what's different about this compared to yesterday? Does anybody notice yet? Justin, some of the numbers are bigger. Yes, that is very true. That's going to happen. Marley. Ooh, the number of hours is going up by 5. Take a look at yesterday's work. Look, look, look. Always counting by ones. Next one. Always counting by ones. All the work we did yesterday was always counting by ones. How does that change it today? So I just want you to, I like that you're working, but I want you to watch as well. What do we usually do? We often go straight to the change. So this was, what is that? Thank you, up 50. And 50 again, very good, and 50 again. So is my rate 50? Some people might think it's 50, some people might think it's 10. How do we figure out which one it is? How do we decide? Justin, what do you think? So it's going up 50, but it's not going up 50 in 1 hour. It's going up 50 in 5 hours. Every time it goes up 5 hours, it's going up 50. If it's going up 50 every 5 hours, what's that as a rate? $10 per hour. Does that make sense? I'm going to say this again. I want you to put your pencils down and watch. And the last thing I'm going to do here is and again, this one works out nicely. It's not always going to be this friendly. I'm going to go down 50, which takes me to 0, because I'm going down 5. Like, these numbers are the same as that number that I have to go down. So it all kind of worked out. But sometimes you got to think about this. Eventually, it's going to get harder. And you're really going to have to be careful about what it's going up by on both sides. So I want to show you this again. Yesterday, these were all counted by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's different now. So I'm not going up. It's not $50 per hour. It's $50 per 5 hours. But our rate, we can do this part. Whoops. I can do this part. How much for 0 hours? $0. How much per hour or for 1 hour? So it's $50 per 5 hours. So I look at this like always, but I have to look at the change here as well. And I always want to make this just like we were doing on the learning goal today and before, per 1 hour. So this is $10 per hour. So what's the rule? Very nice. And the plus 0, you can either write it or not, but I like it. Don't put 50, because that would be like $50 per hour, and it's not $50 per hour. It's $50 per 5 hours. So if we do 50 divided by 5, then we get the amount per hour. Okay, we're going to graph it, and we're going to figure out how much for 20 hours. I noticed something weird about my graph. I'm going to let you try these, both of these. E equals 10h plus 0, but h is 20. So what do? Go ahead, I want you to finish that one. And I want you to try to do a graph. Okay, so what do I do here? I put 20 in. What do I get? 200. So $200 in 20 hours. And that matched our table, I believe. $200 in 20 hours. Very nice. What'd you notice about trying to do the graph? How many people have done the graph? Walker, what'd you notice? Yeah, and then my table does what? My table, though, goes up by, yeah, by like 5s and 50s. So it doesn't quite match. So that's okay. Just graph the ones that work. So I'm at 0, 0. Like I can't do 5, but I could do 10. At 10, it was 100. At 2, it was 20. At 4, it's 40 because it's $10 per hour. Like I can just work it out. I don't have to worry about how the scales match or don't match. And at 20, we already did this. It's 200. Always draw a nice, whoops, straight line. What's going on here? Come on. Ooh, that wasn't very good. There we go. All right, let's do one more in the back. I want you to give this one a try. All right, folks, you got this. Very good. What do we notice? Okay, let's get to that. What's it going up by? 100. Very good. So plus 100, plus 100, plus 100. Again, it's not always going to be that friendly. It's not always going to be easy numbers that you can just see it. But so, and what's this going up by? Because remember, you got to check that now. Plus 10, plus 10, plus 10. So $100 in 10 hours is what? $10 each hour. So there's my rate. If you left it as 100, you forgot that you have to divide. You have to look at the change happening here and factor that into it as well. What's the part that we're missing? So I was going up 10 each time, and I got to go back 10 to get to 0. So I was going up 100, so I go down 100. And where do I end up at? 100. So that's the start. How much for 0 hours? That's where it starts. So what is the rule? My earnings is equal to something times the number of hours plus something. You want to know that that's what a rule always looks like. Jamarly, what do you think? 10h plus 100. Very good. And watch. The 10 from the rate always goes beside the h, and the 100 always goes there. Or I get E equals 100 plus 10h. I can flip those two things. That part's fine. I can't do this. E equals 100h plus 10. That one's wrong. Because the h is in the wrong place. The h always goes with the rate. It's not always h, but whatever, right? All right, good. Try the next part. Yeah. Said how much for 10,000 hours. I'll make a graph that goes up to 10,000, like a table that goes like it'd be ridiculously insane. So the rule helps most in most cases. All right, looking pretty good. Here's my stuff for this last part. A lot of people have asked, remember it's like yesterday, we talked about this yesterday, but a lot of people have asked, why do we have to do this when how much for 20 was in the table? It said right there, 300. Well, one of the main reasons is because we're not always going to have a table with the answer in it. If this was an EQAO question or a test question, the answer wouldn't be there. I can pretty much guarantee you that. So the rule is the best in this, in a lot of cases, for doing this calculation. So we're going to practice using the rule, but I can check my answer and make sure it matches the table. It's a really good check to make sure that it did it right. And you'll see in the practice, it doesn't work that way. You have to use the rule. Okay, and here's my graph. And again, take a look at this. You can look at this page, and you can flip it over and look at the other side and look at how one of them started at 0 and one of them didn't. And that can really change how the numbers play out. But what are we trying to understand from this? We're trying to figure out how to make a rule when you're given a table. How do I make the rule when I'm given the table? You got to find where it starts. You got to find the change. And finding the change when these aren't counting by ones is a little bit trickier. That's the main idea behind today. Any questions on that?